Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. Later in the program, we're going to take a look at healthcare in Colorado and why it's not as good as you think. But first, how much God is in prison? Jesus goes to prison. We're going to find out from the VP of Prison Fellowship. Thank you for being here, Craig DeRoche.
Thanks for having me, John. It's a privilege to be on the show.
All right. I really misunderstood prison ministry until I started talking to some folks, because it seems to me by that name that what it means is some holy roller comes in on Sunday, goes into the prison, speaks in tongues, rolls around on the floor, and tries to whip some Christ into these guys in hopes that they convert a few souls. As it turns out, what you guys do is very different than that.
Yeah, absolutely. The work that we do, we have curriculums, like 12-month programs in 77 prisons in 12 states. We have other programming based on that type of knowledge in over 400 prisons in America. And our Angel Tree program, which is Christmas for the children of people in prison, is for almost 300,000 children in America. And so it's far different than Sunday sermons. It's more of the practical application that what does the faith, what does Scripture do to help you overcome the problems that led you to crime in the first place, so you don't ever have to go back to that life when you get out.
Now remember, this is being aired on public television, so there's a whole bunch of atheists now running for the TVs
Yeah, right.
to go to a different channel. But before they do, what's fascinating about this is the left-right coalition that comes around the kind of work that you do. The idea that Christians, in prison, that's getting too preachy. That's opportunism. But actually, you end up partnering with a lot of the folks that wouldn't be natural allies for a lot of conservative Christian organizations. So is that a fair way to put it?
It's a fair way to put it. We had our announcement for the Second Chance Month, which Colorado, Representative Pete Lee and Senator Rhonda Fields passed a resolution in support of that. In D.C., the ACLU, the NAACP, and others stood alongside the Heritage Foundation, Prison Fellowship, and other Freedom Works, other conservative organizations, and said, hey, we agree on this. We agree on this, that the prison is not supposed to make somebody worse. It's supposed to pay back your debt, and you're supposed to come out of there in a good place. And when somebody pays back their debt, they're a human being. Now, what we would say is we're created in the image of God, and somebody at the ACLU would say that there should be fairness and equity. But it turns out we're fighting for the same thing. So in this area of public policy, it's not a compromise. We can actually kind of come together and advance public policy.
Because all of you are working for the same sort of thing, which was, when these guys get out, you don't want them to come back in.
That's right.
You want to arm them with the ability to keep their lives together, to keep sober, to hold down a job, and to be productive members of society.
That's right.
And it's fascinating to me that when you have the NAACP and the ACLU, along with these conservative groups and Christian groups, but you're really working well together with them for this. Let's put some meat on this, so people understand. There's a guy in prison. Let's say he's addicted to something. He's having a hard time. You walk in, you throw a few Bibles at him, you slap him upside the head, and that takes care of the problem. And off we go. What actually happens?
Well, that wouldn't have worked for me. I went to church until I was 39 years old. Got arrested twice in a 4-month period of time because 29 of those years I was living in active addiction personally. I had to have somebody come to me and say, I was there earlier in my life, and I know what you're going through, and I have an answer that worked for me. So he wasn't talking down at me. He was saying, would you like to know what worked for me? I'll walk you through it. And so it's a very practical education. And sometimes we put these words like recovery, rehab, different things like that in front of things. But the truth is, it was habilitation. I had been a former Speaker of the House in Michigan. I was elected when I was 33. But they say, well, you're in rehab. Well, I had never actually learned the skills that I needed to stay sober because I started drinking when I was a little kid. People that have made a choice to break laws, they've gone back to that. It's actually their solution, not their problem. So we help explain how faith and spiritual, faith-based universal truths can help them unlock their problems so they don't have to go back to that solution of crime, violence, or drugs.
What if they're not into that?
Yeah.
What if there's somebody who's not Christian? He's Muslim, he's atheist, he's agnostic.
Yeah.
Are you trying to convert them, or do you not give them your time, or is it no deal?
No. This is why we get along. What we learned, and I think this is humble. If my understanding of Scripture is, it should be through humility. You know, we're not God. You know, God is God. We can just be representatives of what He's done in our life and what the Scripture says, the Word and the truth as we understand it. And so if you do that, we have people that go through our courses that are Muslim, Jewish, atheist, Wiccans. We've had Wiccans come through our courses.
And they stay Wiccans or atheists even when they're out.
It's not for us to say. Some people do, some people don't. We're just saying that we're here. We don't take any government money. And this has worked and it's helped a lot of people. And we've had our programs evidence-based, peer-reviewed that show that it actually does help people, just like 12-step programs help people overcome it. And that's where the left says it should be our civil right, our religious liberty, to be able to make this available to everybody and for them to make a choice of what they want to do with it.
What is it that, let's go with Christian conservatives.
Yeah.
What is it they don't understand about what goes on in prisons? In other words, you know, I've been guilty of this as well.
Yeah.
There's the idea, listen, 3 strikes, you know,
Yeah.
get them off the street, get them out of my hair. I don't want to see them again. And then we end up having overcrowding. It wasn't that simple. What is it that conservative Christians might not understand about what policy is going on in prison that they need to know?
There's a couple of big things, and it starts with over-punishing somebody for what they did does not deter or change the behavior of anybody else in our culture. So I think that conservative Christians have this notion in their head that if you are dealing marijuana, you know, in a state that outlaws marijuana, pick a different drug here in Colorado.
Not a
I forgot where I
was.
You're dealing low-level doses of whatever, and it's your first offense. If we give you 10 years instead of maybe you're an addict supporting your habit, maybe what you needed was a smaller period of time and to get off your addiction, that'll send a message and nobody will ever do that drug or deal it again. Well, that doesn't actually work for anybody, and so you're discarding that person's life. You're investing and wasting a whole bunch of government resources, and you're not holding the government responsible for that 10 years while you had the person incarcerated to come out in a better place that is crime-free and self-sufficient when the person gets done.
This is, you liberal, you guys, you just bleed all over everything. You know, your hearts just keep pumping out. No, it's not government's responsibility to rehab that guy, and you're trying to be soft on these criminals.
I love that argument, by the way, because my joke with my friends, I'm a conservative, is if somebody breaks into my car and steals my laptop, how is it conservative for me to pay for his health care and his television and his food for the next couple of years? Why doesn't he have to be out in the community, staying sober, having a job, and paying back the insurance company for the laptop? That's a lot harder, right? And if somebody is actually in a position where they're not at risk of more crime immediately, and we have all sorts of community-based options that have demonstrated that you can hold somebody accountable to pay back the damage they did, and that's really hard to do for somebody who's never lived honestly. With that oversight, they end up coming out, they learn how to live differently, and that pain of actually paying back debt instead of laying in a bed for 23 hours actually force them to change their life. And that's more conservative, rather than growing government workers inside of the prison, government pension systems, and saying we don't care that most of these people, all they did was learn how to be better prisoners, and they're going to keep coming back and back. And to the folks that work in the government, they're saying keep bringing it on, build another prison.
Now you're talking in a language I can understand, which is if we do this right, we're spending less money.
That's right.
If we're doing this right, the size and scope of government goes down.
Right.
Now, there's another side to this, of course, of why we put people away. It's because they're a danger. All right. So yes.
And that's what prisons are for.
And that these people need to be locked up,
removed from the community,
right.
And that's what prisons and jails are supposed to be used for. Right now, we're saying that they're being used to teach somebody something, but what are they actually teaching people besides criminal behavior? that we have the wrong people in prison is what I would say to you.
You ACLU liberal types, you're all the same to me, all the same. Let me ask you a little bit about Christmas, because I had no idea that you guys did this.
Yeah.
And this is just another damn softy liberal thing you Christians are doing, helping out the kids of the people who are in prison.
Yes.
I mean, I really didn't give this much thought until I learned what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Explain it. It's called Project Angel?
It's Angel Tree.
Angel Tree.
So what on that? So what? If you're listening to the show right now.
First explain it, because
you do
it's amazing.
that. Yeah, this is not Christmas from us. This is Christmas from their mom and their dad who's in prison, right? And the so what to people listening to the show is that kid hasn't done anything wrong. And we know statistically that not having their parent in their house and a parent who hasn't been a good influence on them leads at a higher rate to them entering. You know, Chuck Colson, our founder, used to say, if you want to look for the criminals of tomorrow, look for the criminals of today and their kids. So this is our intervention. This is reaching out to those kids. And we have clinics going on, sports clinics with professional athletes all over America for the same kids right now all summer, to say there's a different way for them to live their life and to change the generational aspects of criminal justice. And so everyone in Colorado should care about that, because it's an investment in the future of Colorado, a safer Colorado.
What's special about Christmas, though?
For kids,
the kids.
Yeah, for kids, we have found, and we are a ministry. It's central. We celebrate Christmas and Easter in different ways. Second Chance Month and Easter. In Christmas, kids look forward to things, and there's a lot of broken hearts when mom or dad don't have. We find that a lot of the families, because they're broken, most of them are the men that go to prison, which was the wage earner, whether it be illegal or legal. They were the wage earner, and so in many cases, the only Christmas that kid will ever see is from the Angel Tree program that's delivered through churches in Colorado.
You actually bring them gifts.
We actually bring them the gifts on behalf of their mom or dad.
So on Christmas morning, they get to open up a present.
We do it in advance of that for the most part. We found out it works better, but yes.
Right. So the magic of Christmas, because man, when you're a little person, Christmas is
Right.
It's everything, and so. You connect them with their parents,
yeah,
because mom and dad is able to provide at least something.
And it's what they asked for, by the way.
Really?
The forms we fill out.
A lot of revolvers, semi-automatics.
It's things like my son likes Legos, and so we do it as a family. My wife and daughters, we'll go buy a Lego set, and we'll say, "This is from your dad. He said you wanted to have Legos," and another kid may want a basketball or something like that. So the kid knows it's from their parent.
I just think it's just an amazing thing to do.
It's
something people should support. If people want to learn some more, maybe give you a few bucks. Where do they go? What do they do?
They go to Prison Fellowship, and
they don't need to go to prison.
They don't have to go to prison. We'd like them to. We have a lot of opportunities for volunteers, and we have a conference coming up in Colorado on September 16th at the Cheyenne Mountain Resort. And they can come learn about our programs. We have a whole book and curriculum that's going to be launched that day. Dimas Celeberios, one of the largest drug dealers in New York that turned his life around after prison, will be a speaker in Colorado Springs. And that's available at prisonfellowship.org/justice conference, where people can come and register now. Legislators, other panelists will be in there to talk about all of these programs.
What's that date? One more time?
September 16th, Colorado Springs.
Website one more time.
prisonfellowship.org/justice conference. Got it.
Greg, thank you. Stay tuned.